Well, all right. So I got a little story for you today. Over the weekend, a friend of mine asked me to do him a favor because a friend of his was in town. An old, like, childhood friend of his from Hawaii who is a doctor. And he was in town for a medical convention here in Nashville. But he is a sort of, hobbyist weekender drummer. He loves drums. And so the favor was my friend asked me to pick him up at his hotel and bring him over to a couple of the drum shops here in town. Here in Nashville, we actually have 3 like world-class drum shops, which is just outstanding, the most unique anywhere in the world, I want to say. Not even New York or LA has that. So sure enough, I said yes. Yeah, let's do it. You have to twist my arm to go to a drum shop on a Saturday. So, I went over, picked him up, and we headed over to Fork's Drum Closet first. And, kind of like just was hanging around, and of course he was just super impressed. He'd never seen anything like that in his life, with just a shop that's just dedicated to drums, and just drums everywhere, just drums piled high all the way to the ceiling, 2 floors, and just anything that you could imagine, that sticks, mallets, hardware, pedals, cymbals, snares, you name it, they've got it there. And so we hung out there for quite a while, and in doing so, I was upstairs for a little bit, and just kind of looking through the used cymbal bin, and I stumbled upon this cymbal that I was like, wow, it's a 22-inch Agop medium ride, traditional series medium ride. And truth be told, way back in, like, I don't know, maybe 2010 or so, 2011 maybe, I don't know exactly the year, but I was living in Vegas, and I was rehearsing with this artist who rehearsed at one of these mega churches out west. And so in doing the rehearsal, they had a drum kit there, full drum kit with cymbals and everything. Well, the cymbals were Istanbul Agop, and this was my first time hearing or even just learning about Istanbul Agop. Up till then, I don't think I was familiar with even the brand name, much less, what they would sound like. So I played the rehearsal on the Agop cymbals, and I want to say it was a 22-inch medium ride. I'm already giving it away. And it was like 2 crashes and a pair of hats. They were all traditional series. They were all medium weights. I want to say I know the hi-hats were 15-inch mediums, which I own now. In fact, they're right here. Love them. Traditional medium, 15-inch. And the crashes, I want to say the crashes were 18-inch and 20-inch medium. I can't remember exactly. It might have been 19 and 20. In any case, that's what I have here. I have a 19-inch medium crash traditional and a 20-inch medium crash traditional. And that's just sort of what I've ended up with over the years. I just sort of gravitate toward, that's the sound. And but all this time, I never had that ride, that 22-inch medium ride. It always kind of spoke to me. And I remember just playing it and just being like, wow, like, this is the symbol for playing a big venue. Like, if you're going to play a big mega church or an arena of any kind, or a stadium, or not that I've ever played a stadium, but like a amphitheater outdoors, anywhere where like volume is not an issue, and in fact volume is encouraged. The 22-inch medium ride, just like, wow, man, that thing just has some mojo. And so there it was in the used bin, and the sticker price was $340. And so I thought, okay, I have a deal with Istanbul, sort of a handshake deal, and maybe I could get that cymbal for that amount. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, go back downstairs, and my friend, he's buying stuff, and he's, buying a few things. We're talking to the guys at the counter. I'm talking to Daniel there, and Daniel is like, "Hey, well, what about if I sweeten the deal for you? What do you think?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're gonna bring the price down? Okay, how much?" And at first he was kind of like, I think he said like 320 or 310. I forget what he said. 315. I can't remember. Somewhere in that range. And I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. And still not really that serious about like, am I gonna buy this cymbal? I don't know. This is totally an unplanned purchase. And just knowing that we were gonna head over to Nelson's drum shop next, and just kind of like thinking to myself, well, maybe I'll find something there. I don't know. Eventually, he came down to $290. Daniel came down to $290 for the cymbal. I was like, that's pretty good, under $300. But I walked out. We walked out and we went to Nelson's, and I kind of just forgot about the cymbal for a little while. And then we're at Nelson's, and then we sit down. There's a drum kit set up, a little small Rogers. I think it was a Rogers drum kit, and there's an Istanbul Agop Mel Lewis 21-inch ride with the rivets. It's exactly the cymbal that I own. I already own that cymbal, but my friend Kevin, he loved that cymbal. He was like, "Wow, that cymbal he's really speaking to him." He's playing it and stuff, and he's digging it, and I had found a Canopus hammered bronze snare, because I was checking that out for a little bit, and just like, wow, that drum is killer, because I don't think I've ever played that drum before, and I was really enjoying the sound of that drum. But more than that, there was a pair of hi-hats at that kit, and when I first saw them, I thought, wow, those look familiar. The hi-hats are 16-inch Zildjian K light hi-hat. Okay, so 16-inch K light hi-hat. And I'm looking at them, and I see the patina, because they're used, and I see the patina on them, and I'm like, I feel like I've played these hats before, and I can't confirm this, but I think where I played these hats was in a session at this guy's place down in Franklin. This guy named Caleb Lovely, he's a producer in town, and I remember going to his house and working and playing playing a session for an artist who was producing a song or two. I forget what it was. And that's where I met these 16-inch K light hi-hats, and I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure. And so, because I think maybe like a year ago, I saw Caleb maybe selling those 16-inch hi-hats. So I was like, and I just remember really liking those hi-hats on the session, just being like, wow, those hi-hats are really good. They have a really nice sort of dry but chunky sound. They don't act like 16-inch. In fact, I mean, they sort of remind me of 14-inch hats. It's kind of weird. Anyway, long story short, I'm sitting there like checking these hats out, and I'm taking the thing on, I'm turning them upside down, looking at the weights. I want to say it's like 13 something. Let me look. Hang on. Real quick, let's do this. Yeah, 1308 grams and 1646 grams. And put these back on. And so I was just, checking them out, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll take a picture of these and just record the grams and ask Agop to make me a pair of hi-hats that are like these. But then Kevin was like, do you want them? Do you like them? I'm like, yeah, I like them. He's like, yeah, but do you want them? I'm like, he's like, I'll buy them for you. I said, what? I said, Kevin, they're $400. He's like, yeah. He's like, no problem. He's like, he's like, you're spending your day with me and you're spending time with me, and to show gratitude and appreciation, I don't mind buying those for you. So we bought them for me. So he bought his 21-inch cymbal, the Mel Lewis, and has it shipped out to him in Hawaii. And I came home with these Zildjian K-Light hi-hats, 16-inch. And I'm just beside myself. This guy's a perfect stranger to me 2 hours prior, So, like, for him to spend $400 on me and, have me go home with a pair of hi-hats that kind of just speak to me, like the way that they've been doing. So we're going to get into what these sound like, these hi-hats, and talk a little bit more about some issues that maybe I might have. But so then I dropped Kevin off back at his hotel, and man, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, $290 for that ride cymbal back at Forks. So I just got back in the car and headed over to Forks and bought the cymbal. So here we have the Istanbul Agop traditional medium 22-inch ride, and it is glorious. I mean, both of these hi-hats and this ride cymbal, they are just wow. I'm really impressed. I've been playing them since Saturday. So today is Monday. So, I played them a bit yesterday for maybe 2 hours, maybe less than an hour and a half, something like that. And today, same thing, like maybe 90 minutes. I've been playing these and just trying them on different sorts of grooves and different volume levels, and the hats open and closed, and funk and rock and all the things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you a little bit, and just these cymbals by themselves, and then I'm going to play the kit, and then we've got a little recording here that we're going to do, and just kind of hear them within a context of like a little backing track. All right, so let's start with the hi-hats. Okay. Yeah, man, they're just so, they're not like buttery, but they're smooth and not just they're a little bit chunky, like just enough chunky. But they're not like vanilla, They're not like, gosh, it's so hard to put into words. They're low. I mean, certainly lower than like a pair of 14s. But there's like a top end also that reminds me of a pair of 14s. So it's kind of weird. As before I turned the camera on, I was playing a little bit, and I just kind of was closing my eyes while playing. And I wouldn't guess that these are 16-inch. Just by hearing them, I would not. They don't tell me. I have a pair of 16-inch hi-hats, a pair of Istanbul Agops. They're the signature series, the green label. Now those, those are 16-inch because those are just like, they're kind of sluggish and just kind of like, they're a little more buttery. They're a little more like. Just slow. They're just slower, maybe a little heavier. Not heavier, but just because in grams they're not heavier. I don't think. I should get them out. Maybe I'll cut to those hi-hats in a either later in this video or in another video. But I do want to get to this ride cymbal, so let's get there first. Here's the 22-inch Agop medium ride cymbal, traditional series. So something that, when I was talking to Kevin and we were listening to this ride cymbal, I was kind of just testing it out at the store still before I went back. He was asking me, like, what do I look for in a ride cymbal? And that's a good question, and it just depends on the application, I think. Certainly, different musical applications require different functions as the ride cymbal and just different qualities from the ride. If I'm playing in a jazz trio, I'm going to look for something, different than what I'm going to look for in a, hard rockin', loud band with amplifiers. And this is the loud rockin' amplifier cymbal that I would use from here on out, honestly. It's got a great, you can lay into this cymbal hard, like I was doing, and like with the shoulder of the stick and get it going, get the wash going, but it still retains that tick sound, the articulation from the stick. Let me see if I can demonstrate. You see, you can sort of, it's a heavy enough cymbal that it's not going to get that huge wobble that you'd get on a thinner cymbal, but there is a degree of wobble to it. But while it's wobbling, I can still play it, play eighth notes on it, and those eighth notes are heard. Ding, 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 ding. You're still hearing that articulation. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I'm also making sure that at the same time, there are no like weird overtones that are like emanating from this. There's no like whistling or any kind of weird like any kind of frequencies that are standing out that that would drive the microphones crazy or just drive my ears crazy if I'm playing it, acoustically. Some cymbals will sometimes have a frequency that just sort of builds up, and it's like this little, like wedge of a frequency. I couldn't tell you, maybe in the 5K range or somewhere, between like 3 and 5K. I'm just sort of guessing here, and that can be really problematic, especially while you're recording, if you're using the cymbal to record. But also, the moment you put microphones on a cymbal and you have, problematic frequency issues like that, it's gonna drive everybody crazy, the sound guy and everybody. I mean, yeah, you can dial it out, but it's a pain in the neck, and you got to remember that it's there. And like if I'm playing it acoustically, there's nothing you can do. It's there, and there's nothing. I mean, unless you start putting tape on the cymbal or something, somehow like dampening it, which I don't want to do. I've never put. That's not true. When I was in college, I put tape on a cymbal, but since then, in my professional career, I have never had to put tape on a cymbal, and I don't plan on it anytime soon. I mean, I guess if I was asked to, but that situation has never come up. So there we go. There's kind of some new cymbal, but let me play this track here and put it in context. All right, and let's see here. Let's get it going. All right, so you notice I went to halftime there a little bit at the end, and that for me is like the biggest test when a halftime on an open hi-hat, when you're playing kind of like those slow, like those sort of. I'm still sort of playing eighth notes, but the quarter note is accented, where I'm just playing like. And on that groove, that for me is like the big test of like, because on a pair of 14-inch hats that are smaller, that's gonna be a lot harder to get those hi-hats like to be open and like have enough like sizzle and just enough like girth and all the like you're gonna be working harder to make 14-inch cymbals, hi-hat cymbals sound like that. If it's even possible. That's the biggest thing that I noticed once I started moving up to 15 and 16-inch cymbals, hi-hat cymbals, because I played 14-inch cymbals, hi-hat cymbals all my life up until a couple of years ago. Really, I mean that's the honest truth. I have a pair of 14-inch medium Agop hats that I was playing for 12 plus years. When I first got with Agop, and those were just my go-to. Those were the only hats that I owned. But I've sort of started branching out, and here in Nashville, it sort of like inspires me to. A lot of players are playing larger cymbals and just overall, and hi-hats included, and so I enjoy just kind of messing around and seeing what else is out there, but so these are really great. I love these so much. Now I mentioned there might be an issue. The issue is that I have a handshake deal with Istanbul Agop, and these are Zildjians. So what am I going to do? Well, it's our secret, first of all. I thought about maybe there's a way I can just wipe off the label, because I don't really care about the label. I don't give two craps about, what the label says, top and bottom. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get some acetone or some, I don't know. I got to read up on it a little bit. But I think I should be able to take the label off pretty easily with some sort of cymbal cleaner or acetone or nail polish cleaner, some kind of thing like that. If you have any suggestions, obviously, please comment below. But yeah, it's going to be my little secret that, when I use these hats, that they are not Agops. But man, you know what? They inspire me so much. I can't say no to these. And I'm excited to bring these out on a gig and hear what they sound like on stage with a band. Obviously we're here in the studio, so I can hear them here in the studio, and that's kind of nice. So, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for joining me. Put it in the books, and we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.